Hello, and welcome to Scandinavia House Online and to this conversation on the film The Painter and the Thief. And we are joined today with the film's director, Benjamin Ree, and the painter, Barbora Kysilkova, one of the subjects of the films. The film is being distributed virtually by Neon Films. Benjamin Ree is a Norwegian documentary filmmaker. In the beginning of his career, he worked for BBC and Reuters, and today he makes award-winning short and feature documentaries. Ree's first feature documentary is Magnus. The Painter and the Thief is the second feature and premiered at the World Documentary Competition at Sundance Film Festival in 2020 and won a special jury award for creative storytelling. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I always like to start at the beginning. Benjamin, how did you decide to make this story your next film? Who approached who? And could you also give us a little brief timeline of the film? How long did it take to film, etc.?
Absolutely. So I had just finished my previous film, Magnus, which was about the world's best chess player, Magnus Carlsen. And I was a bit fed up making a documentary about an introverted sport and an introverted person. So I was actually looking for a project with people that had their emotions on the outside. And when I do research for new projects, I just follow my curiosity. Like at the beginning here, I was just researching art robberies. I thought that was very fascinating because we have a great tradition for art robberies in Norway, of course. And there's something fascinating about high culture art and low culture robbers. So there's a contrast there that fascinated me. And during my research period, this story was on the front newspapers in Norway and also in TV channels. So I followed that case, and after the trial, I contacted Barbora, and then Barbora and Karl-Bertil had already met about 4 times before I began filming. I was very fortunate because important scenes were filmed before I came along. So a friend of Barbora, she had documented Barbora's life, taking photos, filming her paintings being made, her exhibition. She was there during the trial. So we also had the audio recordings of the first meeting of Barbora and Karl-Bertil, which was very crucial for the film. And we also had the surveillance footage of the actual robbery. So we were extremely lucky with having so much archival footage before I came along. So we could tell the story from the very, very beginning. I began filming around June 2016, and we ended approximately 3 years after that. So it took 3 years of filming. And I have to add that when I began filming this project, I did not know anything where the story might end up. Actually, it began as a short documentary, like a 10 minutes documentary for web TV. That was what I was working at. But the story just grew bigger and bigger, and there were so many surprises. So gradually I understood that this is something much bigger than just a 10-minute piece. And we edited the film for 8 months, and this is of course a lot of facts, but I can give it to you. It's we had over 300 hours of footage, and we had approximately 100 recording days. We filmed 100 days over that 3-year period. So it was a lot of work, but a lot of fun too.
Right. And I was very impressed with the rapport that you three had together. Did that exist at the beginning, or, I mean, there was an emotional honesty we saw from the very beginning. Was that always the case, or did it take some time to warm up to each other?
I think that was the case from the very beginning, and we had the same sense of humor, this kind of dark, twisted humor. Especially Bertil, like you see in the film also, after he has broken 16 bones in his body and he's at his all-time low, he still has this dark humor. he is writing, it feels like I just got screwed or something. My hips don't lie, with the pop culture reference to Shakira there. So he had this kind of humor from the very beginning. So we connected very early with humor, and of course, Bertil is a very intelligent guy, and he's read all the books of Dostoevsky. So the first time I met him, he only wanted to talk about one of the not that known books of Dostoevsky and listen to Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. So that was quite a character with all his tattoos and criminal background, with that kind of art taste.
And Barbara, when did it first occur to you that you would have liked to have Bertil sit for you? And why was it interesting for you to make him the subject of your artwork?
So it is not happening to artists' life every day that someone steals the artist's art piece. Of course, it's quite a significant twist in my life. And quite soon after also discussing all this situation with my boyfriend, Øystein Stenne, who is an exquisite writer and has a very precise feeling for a story as such. So after discussing this with him back and forth, he planted this idea in me that, of course, this is a situation I have to and I am obliged to do something with as an artist. So when I got to know that I'm going to most likely meet the thieves at the trial, there was this idea appearing that I, of course, am going to make a painting out of it. And the initial idea was to recreate the crime scene. So I wanted to approach both of the thieves and ask them to pose for me while making this painting, you know, big painting where they would be removing the canvases from the blind frames. So that was the initial idea with which I came to the courtroom. And then I entered the courtroom and I saw this guy in a white shirt with the tattoos sneaking out of his sleeves on his hands, and with his head in his hands, be feeling so small probably and just ashamed, wishing to be elsewhere. And I immediately realized I can't see any criminal in this guy. I just got struck by the so exposed human in there. And that's how I actually have been approaching him since then, not as my thief, but as a human, who he is.
Interesting. I know Bertil is not here with us today, and I don't want to ask you to put words in his mouth, but I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what drew him to your work. He had such a strong reaction. Even at the trial, he said he took the work because he kept on walking past it, and it was just so beautiful. And then he had this very strong reaction when he first saw his painting, your painting of him. How he felt about your work, Barbara.
Well, as you yourself now put his words into your mouth,
exactly.
That's no, but that was, in all those years, this very first meeting, or his very first answer to my art was just one of the purest. When I asked him why did he steal these two paintings, both of them mine, his answer was immediate and so pure, saying because they were beautiful. That unarmed me totally. Like, even if I had some possible mental weapons wanting to aim at him, I just could not anymore. That was, kind of striking. And then I think I can also say that when experiencing Bertil, seeing himself painted for the first time, I know myself how it feels when you see yourself painted for the first time. It's actually a breathtaking experience. And I dare to believe that for Bertil, it was even with more layers. It was even maybe a bit deeper, because no doubt he, for most of his life, has been lacking some kind of feeling to be seen. And I think this gave him the feeling that he was seen. And as he says, with this moment where he saw this painting started, he said it was the first time he felt really seen ever.
And I also have to send my greetings from Bertil. The reason why he couldn't be here together with us today was because he had his final exam today, so he's out celebrating. And he's done so many interviews now the last days and preparing for the exam, so we let him go out on a date. So greetings from Bertil.
Thank you. And Benjamin, and during the film, we saw how Barbara and Bertil developed a friendship and how they both developed an understanding for each other over the time. What was it like to film this while having your own understanding of them as the documentarian, through the things that they may share with you, but not with each other?
That was, of course, very... both a fascinating process, but also process with a lot of dilemmas, because I'm filming very crucial moments in both Barbara and Bertil's life where they are struggling. And the dilemma there is, of course, if I shall continue filming or shall I just be there as a person. And it's right that I got some more information about these people that they not at all times knew about each other, and I thought that was also a way of me to. It made it possible for me to explore the different perspectives there, and it's a film that really shows different perspectives. And I do a lot of interviews. And I never use them in the film, but those interviews, I really get to know the inner state of both Barbara and Karl-Bertil, and I try to transfer those verbal words into cinematic language. So that's what I'm doing. And maybe I also I was calling both Barbora and Karl-Bertil and having lunches with them a lot, only together with them, so I got to know them very well alone. And the reason for that was also that made it possible for me to explore how they viewed each other. I'm the one that's viewing them, and I'm the one that's interpreting their view. But the film's themes are exploring what we humans do in order to be seen and appreciated, and what it takes of us to see others and appreciate others. And I thought that way of working really highlighted and added complexity to the themes of the film.
I just want to step in and here and now to thank to Benjamin for all these lunches he had with me, because it many times saved my starving stomach.
So if you are wondering why I got such great access to both Barbora and Karl-Bertil, we had a huge lunch budget on this film. So if you ever struggle to get access to people, you should just find some starving people and say you can have lunch, but we have to film first.
That's right.
I have a question for Barbara. Was it difficult to be in front of the camera, to sort of expose yourself during some of the more vulnerable times of your life?
I tend to say, what camera? No, seriously. I have to admit that both Benjamin and Christopher Kumar, the photographer, they both are such sensitive and careful people that they became invisible at the moment. It was for me so easy to absolutely drop off any awareness of a camera around. Seriously. I don't know how they did it, but they did it damn well.
And then the next question is for you as well. Can you tell us what it's like to lose a painting? Was it much more different than selling a painting that you'll never see again?
So when I got to know about this whole situation, that was at the very day of the robbery, the gallerist called me and informed me about what happened. And I kind of didn't really know what to feel, because there is no manual for telling you what to do in such situation. It's just all weird. It doesn't make sense. So my first state of mind was a quite confusement. And then right away, I, of course, called my boyfriend and told him what happened. And his first and immediate reaction was, well, baby, congrats. So, as I told you, he has a feeling for a story. So he immediately saw the other possible perspective on it all. And that helped me to also flip my own or settle down my own possible feelings about it. And I started to see it as a quite serious compliment to my work. Of course, it's a loss. It was 2 big paintings, and every painting of mine is a very essential for me and very important, whether it's a small or big, or made 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago. But now I can really say that I gained a lot from this loss, and it was worth it.
Thank you. I was wondering if we could talk about the Norwegian prison system just a bit. It's very different from the American system, which seems to focus more on punishment than reform. And I'm not sure if you could speak for Bertil again, either one of you. Do you feel that this helped him at all? Did he ever feel like he was just being punished, or did he feel like being a prisoner, or was this just another step on his sort of recovering from his addiction, etc.?
What Bertil says about this is that although Halden prison is a very nice prison, and they've, as you say, they focus on rehabilitation and not just punishing, he will have the same effect when his freedom is taken away from him. And he sometimes cites actually Dostoevsky, and I can't cite Dostoevsky as good as him, but he refers to Dostoevsky's book House of the Dead or something like that, from the 1850s. And he says that Dostoevsky's description of how to be imprisoned is very much the same he feels today. So although he has a toilet and a TV, the sense of that freedom is taken away from him is the same, and he's very it's important for him to emphasize this. And I sorry, Bertil, if I cited Dostoevsky a bit incorrectly here, but I hopefully I did justice to what you usually say. So I think you're correct in they're focusing on rehabilitation, but your freedom is still taken away from you.
How long was his prison sentence? I'm just curious.
It was for 1 year, but he got out, I think, after 8 months.
Okay. And was it difficult for you to get permission to film in prison?
It was very easy.
Okay.
Halden prison is a very famous prison in Norway, and there's been a lot of documentaries in Halden prison. Michael Moore went to Halden prison in his film Where to Invade Next, and when you walk up to the boss of the Halden prison to ask for permission, there's kind of a hall of fame with a lot of pictures of him together with filmmakers being there. So they're a very open prison, and they also really like to show that it's possible to have a different approach to their inmates.
I have to say, if I may, to this prison story, so I myself was absolutely thrilled by seeing the prison while I visited Bertil a few times, and once I even got allowance to walk a little bit further in, not only where the visitors can stay, and I saw the great opportunities they had for the inmates, considering workshops for carpenting, for art, for exercising, yoga, fitness, for carpenting set. It just absolutely astonishing. I felt like I'm in some kind of rehab, if I may say. Sure, of course, as Benjamin said, you have your freedom removed. But if I may add what I think, and I'm sorry, Bertil, if I'm wrong, but I do believe it's true, that I think this imprisonment came in the right time, because Bertil really was so lost and so messed up that he needed some outer structures to give him some kind of frame to have his daily life in, I think it helped him a lot at that time.
Did he ever talk about why he decided to be a subject of the film with either one of you two?
Bertil has said that the reason he participated in the film was because of Barbora. He wanted to give back to Barbora since he stole her paintings. And you have another version of that, Barbora, that you can say it yourself.
That's not at all another version. That confirms exactly what you say. But there was a great moment with Bertil. One day he came over to my studio. We did not have cameras around. And we just spoke back and forth and here and there. And then we asked each other what made us to say yes to Benjamin. And I told him that I actually did it for him, for the people to see his life, which I believe is in a way highly inspiring, and to show to people what happens when you get rid of your prejudices and to expose his life, which is damn worth it to be seen. And then Bertil's response was, well, I did it for you, Barbara, and I did it for your art. So that was quite a nice emotional moment when we just opened new beer and smiled at each other and continued talking.
And I have to add that you opened a beer then, but Bertil has been sober for over a year now, so he's doing very well. And it's great that you had that conversation towards the end of the filming and not at the beginning.
Why? You were not around at that time?
I'm thinking about if you had it in the beginning, would you still go on filming?
Sure, I signed up.
When you found the swan song, were there any repercussions of just taking it back from either the gangster or even the police?
That was one of the most absurd moments in my life. Not only that suddenly this canvas was standing there in the corner of this creepy place of a quite spooky part of the Oslo city, but also to understand what to do with it. I could not take it with me. It actually did not belong to me, this painting, since there was official police case started. So I actually had to deliver it to the police station in Oslo. So imagine the situation that you have 10 p.m. in the evening. Everybody at the station is probably tired. And I come there with this big box where the canvas is rolled in. And I say, hello, this is my painting, which I'm bringing here because it actually is not my painting. It got stolen from me and now I found it. So here you are and help yourselves.
You stole it back. I actually have audio recording of that situation. So it's pretty absurd.
I have to admit the policeman did his best to get his head around it.
And I'm curious how the exhibition went in the end.
The exhibition was actually kind of pop-up, self-made. So it was not under the official roof of official gallery. I basically did it to enclose certain life chapter with Bertil and me, and to see the past 3 years of our common life to the people. So I think it was most important for Bertil and me to have that exhibition, and I think we took the most of what we could from it, both of us. And actually now, I'm sorry, now I actually, just to add, I also had exhibition in Prague, in my hometown, which was the proper gallery, Gallery Miro. And it was for almost 3 months exhibited, most of the paintings that we see in the film. And the response was amazing. The people were really reacting beyond my expectation. And furthermore, when they got to know the stories behind it, added even extra value, emotional value to the works, let's say, and that's a wonderful experience to have.
Yeah.
And they got sold, a lot of the paintings as well, but a lot of still remain available, don't worry.
And in conclusion, I'm just curious what everyone is working on now, including Bertil, if he doesn't mind sharing. I know he just had his final exam today.
So Karl-Bertil is studying sports medicine. So yeah, today he finished his second year there, and he has one more year left to have a bachelor. So he wants to work in that field and maybe work with drug abusers, getting sober and helping them to work out. Yeah, he has been sober for over a year. He's doing very well, and I don't know his relationship status at the moment.
He has a date, so.
So that's Bertil. Barbora, what about you?
Well, I'm having the time of my life being here at the forest in my atelier, big atelier, working on big canvases again, thank God. And of course, there are at least 3 or 4 more canvases that I have ready for Bertil, because he's my muse. That's the way how it is. And furthermore,
you live in Sweden with Øystein, you have to add that.
Yes, I'm in this house with Sweden. I don't think I would dare to be alone in the forest. I have to admit, it would be a little bit too creepy. So beside of new paintings of Bertil, I soon transport from my head through my heart and hand into the canvas. I also work on a totally different project, which is paintings called Manikarnika is the project. And it's from India, the holy city of Varanasi, where there is a gorgeous place by the bank of Ganga river, where all the Hindus get cremated. And I spent amazing time there, days and nights, being there with the people, watching it all, having all the smells and all the senses around. And the inspiration was just so big. So there's going to be a whole set of new exhibition with paintings from that place, which might sound too little creepy, but I tell you, I've never made such colorful paintings like I do now, and never with so much life as from this place, where the death and life just walks hand in hand amazingly.
Well, didn't you say that there's aesthetics in suffering?
Correct.
Any final words from either of you two before we sign off?
Yeah, I will be short. So if you let me, Benji, to talk first. I really, really very much would love to thank to the person that Benjamin mentioned at the very beginning, this friend of mine who has been documenting me as well before Benjamin stepped in. It's an amazing person and amazing author, writer, Merete Morken Andersen. And she offered me to stay in her atelier for 1 year when I moved to Oslo. And I stayed there for free. And so we had very, very long time to get to know each other. And so I became part of her project of artist research. And of course, none of us had any idea where this will lead. But I really want to thank her for all the hospitality she had for me. And she offered me her house, opened herself for me. And I also would love to thank to my boyfriend, who is just the best.
Thanks.
And what I usually say is that what has impressed me the most about making this film is watching Karl-Bertil's journey. And if you look back in the film when Karl-Bertil is at his lowest point, like he has broken 16 bones in his body, he is probably as low as you can get physically and mentally. And from there on, step by step, getting back on your feet and also getting sober. A lot of therapy, rehabilitation, but it's Bertil that has done this job. Until today, when he has been sober for over a year and has finished his exam, I'm so impressed. And I think it's the most impressive thing I've experienced so far in my life. So a big shout out to Karl-Bertil. I'm very proud of you.
And I fully agree with Benjamin. Yes. Big respect to Bertil.
and as a viewer, I agree with both of you as well, even though I don't know him personally. But the film is fantastic. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of cinema. Thank you very much for sharing both of your stories. Please recommend it to your friends. It is available throughout the US on and virtual cinema. So please do watch it and please do recommend it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. It was a very big pleasure.